If this report helped you understand the scale and human impact of this disaster, please consider liking this video, sharing it with others, and subscribing for more in-depth coverage of global events. Let us know in the comments, how can cities better prepare for flash floods? What role should technology, policy, and education play in disaster resilience? Together, we can raise awareness and push for a safer, more informed future. Stay safe, stay informed, and remember, every voice makes a difference. The flooding in Guangdong is not an isolated incident. It's a reflection of a global pattern. From Germany to Brazil, climate-fueled disasters are becoming the new norm. What happened in China this July is a stark reminder of the need for urgent infrastructure upgrades, climate adaptation policies, and community awareness. For China, one of the world's most rapidly urbanizing nations, balancing economic growth with environmental safety has never been more critical. The question now is not just how Guangdong recovers, but how China prepares for what comes next. While the central government pledged full support and emergency funds, many locals feel the response was too little, too late. Questions are being raised. Why weren't better flood defenses in place? Why weren't evacuations ordered earlier? Why do these tragedies keep happening year after year? Social media has become a platform for both grief and outrage. Hashtags like One Guangdong Floods and Pray for China trended nationwide. Videos showing submerged schools and desperate families have sparked debates over government preparedness and climate resilience. As the floodwaters recede, new dangers emerge. Contaminated water sources, landslides, infrastructure collapse, and disease outbreaks now threaten the displaced. Over 200,000 homes were damaged or destroyed. Sanitation remains a major challenge in overcrowded shelters. Medical teams from the Red Cross and Chinese CDC have been dispatched to flood zones. Water purification units and mobile clinics are now operating in the worst-hit areas. But with temperatures rising and humidity soaring, cases of skin infections, waterborne diseases, and respiratory problems are already climbing. Meteorologists were quick to point out the unusual convergence of climate conditions. Typhoon remnants, the East Asian summer monsoon, and record sea surface temperatures created a perfect storm scenario. While heavy summer rainfall is common, the intensity and concentration of this year's deluge far exceeded historical norms. Experts blame not just natural variability, but also the fingerprints of climate change. Warmer air holds more moisture. Rising ocean temperatures fuel stronger storms. In regions like Guangdong, rapid urbanization and insufficient drainage infrastructure only compound the risk. The disaster didn't stop at Guangdong's border. Neighboring provinces like Guangxi and Hunan also experienced flash flooding and landslides as the storm system moved inland. Rivers feeding into the Pearl River surged with runoff, causing a chain reaction of destruction. Transportation lines connecting the Southern Economic Corridor were severed. Dozens of highways were submerged or damaged beyond use. Power stations went offline. Logistics hubs were paralyzed. The economic ripple effect is expected to be felt for weeks, if not months. Authorities moved swiftly but struggled to keep up. Emergency shelters were activated across the province. Over 15,000 rescue personnel were deployed with rubber boats, helicopters, and drones. But for many, help arrived too late. Villages in low-lying areas like Qingyuan and Shaoguan were nearly wiped out. Survivors described water rising chest-high in under 10 minutes. Local government declared a Level 1 emergency response, the highest level possible. Evacuation zones expanded by the hour. Military units joined the efforts as bridges collapsed and road access was cut off. Yet amidst the chaos, stories of heroism emerged. Neighbors carrying elderly villagers on their backs, volunteers distributing food through pouring rain, and firefighters risking their lives to reach stranded children. The disaster began in the early hours of the morning as relentless torrential rain, amplified by Typhoon Talim's remnants, poured down on southern China. The Pearl River Basin, already swollen from previous storms, quickly breached warning levels. Guangdong's emergency services were overwhelmed. By midday, images of submerged cars, toppled homes, and terrified families clinging to rooftops flooded social media. Guangzhou, Foshan, and Huizhou were among the hardest hit. Entire districts lost power. Public transportation ground to a halt. Rivers overflowed with terrifying force, dragging vehicles and infrastructure in their wake. Flood sirens echoed through the concrete jungle as residents scrambled to evacuate. Imagine waking up to the sound of sirens and rushing water, not from your kitchen tap, but from the streets, the buildings, the mountains. On July 20th, 2025, the province of Guangdong, China, faced one of the most devastating natural disasters in its modern history. Over 680,000 residents were forced to flee as catastrophic floods turned cities into lakes, highways into rivers, and homes into islands of despair. This isn't just weather. This is a full-blown crisis.